idea what it was going to be like. Just like hundreds of people showed up, like on motorcycles, on bicycles, on skateboards, on foot. A bunch of news outlets were there. And so I just ended up giving interviews like that whole morning. It's crazy, but like I attribute so much of where I'm at today just from like making TikToks for fun. If you have all the time in the world, what do you want to be doing? What do you enjoy? And then how you can incorporate that in your life. It doesn't even have to be in a way to like monetize it per se. Having the opportunity to work or like be within that realm will set you up for success, and opportunities will come.
As we know that you have worked on countless projects, what is the project that you learned the most about yourself?
Really good question.
January 29th, 2014, when you posted on your Facebook saying, I'm actually getting good. Like if you want me to draw you pictures. So you've always been.
No, I'm deleting my entire Facebook, my digital footprint. I'm so happy you brought up cars. I wasn't sure if we have time to talk about it. Oh, deep cut. Really, really good question. I have so many answers.
Shanta in the building.
Hello.
Let's go.
Hi,
Let's get it. It's been a long time coming. I tell you what, ever since I started the podcast or like just speaking to creatives, I was like, I gotta talk to you.
Oh my gosh, I'm very honored. I'm happy to be here. I don't do a lot of things like this, so I'm excited.
Yeah, hell yeah. What I've assumed is you're someone who has, if you don't get something, you'll find a way to get something. Like by that, what I mean is you are someone who is creating your own path consistently. So I have some examples, and then I kind of want to talk to you about this.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
So you were the first person who sent actually a video resume type of thing, introduction at Essence.
Yeah.
And now they rolled out the whole thing.
Whoa, deep cut. Yeah. Wow. So when I did my interview process, this is way before anything. This was just for like a customer service position.
I know, yeah.
I was living in Ottawa at the time for university, and they were like, yeah, we're rolling out this new video component. It's a one-way interview where you like talk to a camera and there's question prompts. And I was so nervous because I was like, oh, like, obviously it's hard to get a job at Essence. I was like, okay, so I had no idea what it was going to be like, and you have one take for each question. You can't remove it. And so I remember like looking at the questions, and like it was asking about your interests and all the common like whatever questions, and I essentially just like brought a bunch of props of things I really liked from around my apartment. Like clothing items that were my favorite. I had like the Blonded magazine from Frank Ocean at the time, and I think like a film camera that I used to be obsessed with. And I was like showing it, like it was show and tell in middle school, and they really liked it. And then now I think every time you interview for a position, that's like the first or second part of the process.
Yeah.
So random, and I had no idea what to expect, but I guess they liked it. So.
Yeah, fuck yeah. And then, okay, so we'll get into that. Then you started posting on TikTok around 2021, and it was like perfect timing too, because at that time TikTok was pushing content creators pretty heavy, and
For
then
sure.
Yeah, I mean, and that led you to having to be like, you know what, I wouldn't say you're known for, but what you have done at Essence. And that's also
For
something
sure.
I want to get into, because like, you know, back to you creating your own path, you were making these videos, and then Essence marketing team was like, yo, these are cool. Like, what if you do this for us type of situation, or help us out? So that's like the whole thing I'm trying to get towards, is from a customer service job, you ended up creating your own path to have the social media position at Essence.
Yeah, exactly. I think I like definitely, it's crazy, but like I attribute so much of where I'm at today just from like making TikToks for fun. And it was not something I don't have a formal marketing background. I don't have like even like official videography training or anything like that. I was just creating like videos about brands that I was really passionate about and for fun, and like really making sure I was having fun with it. And so I always like tell people, a lot of people always ask me about like how to get started on TikTok and like, you know, how to be consistent. And I was like, you just have to make content that you like to make, that's fun. So it doesn't seem like work, and it's like no one can replicate like what you're passionate about. So it's like even if you're recreating something that another content creator has made before, like the style of video, whether it's styling or whatever it is, informational, as long as you're really excited about it, like that will come through and people will enjoy the content. And so I think that's what Essence saw, was like my passion for like, I do these like brand breakdown videos that talk about like history and you know, evolution of designs and fashion and all those things, which is just cool to me. And so I don't think anyone else was really doing it at the time on the platform in that way, which they liked.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on passion. Like, I think finding passion is it like just kind of comes to you. Would you say there's some truth in that, or you actually have to like do a whole bunch of things and you need to find your passion consciously? So I guess my question is, does passion comes to a person, or it came to you consciously or subconsciously?
I think for me it came really naturally, but I definitely identify that not everyone understands or like knows what their passions are inherently. So I think it's almost a bit of both. It's like sometimes you kind of have to search for it and like understand what makes you happiest. Like I feel like passion is representative of like what excites you as a human being and like what you can spend hours doing like without getting exhausted. And some people have always known what that is, right? Like, you know, some like athletes and people have just always loved what they do. And some people, you know, I feel like it takes a lot longer to like tap into that and understand kind of like what they want to prioritize in their life that makes them happy.
Have you always been passionate?
I think I'm a really passionate individual. I think, yeah, maybe it wasn't always close. Like I haven't been super into fashion forever.
Okay.
But I think being creative and always having an outlet to express myself creatively is something I've always searched for since I was young.
Yeah, let me give you an example.
Oh, no.
I think it was, let me look at the date.
Okay.
I'll show you the reference as well. It was January 29th, 2014 when you posted on your Facebook saying, "I'm actually getting good. Like if you want me to draw you picture." So you've always been.
No, I'm deleting my entire Facebook, my digital footprint. Yes, I think I was 13 or.
Yeah.
I must have been 13 at that time. Yeah, drawing was definitely one of the first. Like I would draw every Christmas, every holiday. My gifts to all my family members would be drawings. So
Yeah.
I would always draw them something. And I was actually in art skills major in high school. So I thought originally I would be an artist. Like that was my path.
Yeah.
And I kind of fell out of the passion for it. Like there came a point I was playing sports as well in high school, and I just didn't want to prioritize it anymore. And you kind of go through a phase where you decide what you want to do in university, and I just knew that that's not something I wanted to continue. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it kind of comes down to like the way, I know it's just an assumption, but the way I see it, if you want something and you can't get it, say you don't have the right relationships or whatever it is to get into the certain industry or do a certain project, you'll find a way, you'll create your own path.
Yeah, for sure. And like also,
which is like the coolest thing.
Yeah, understanding that like opportunity, like not everyone starts at the same place, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm fortunate, my parents were there for me, and like, you know, I went to a good school and I grew up in Canada. Like all of those things play a huge factor. But also it's like being, you know, a woman of color, like that limits me in some ways, like, and like where I'm welcomed in spaces and how I'm perceived and stuff. So it's like understanding like what you need to work on and like what's available to you, and working with that as well. And yeah, also understanding your privileges, and that plays a role into like your opportunities just as much.
Which is for you like a continuous practice. That how do you kind of want to give an example of how women of color has sort of played a role in your life?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, being a woman of color, I think as a creative, especially, there's been a lot of progress in like creative industries, whether it's like modeling or, you know, like content creation. I think there's still a ton of like tokenization as in terms of like highlighting and supporting women of color, but just for the sake of like fitting that kind of quota. Mm-hmm. Also understanding that like I'm a mixed race girl, and you know, I'm lighter skinned, and so like even that plays a role in, you know, the opportunities and the jobs that I have versus someone who is like darker skinned than me. And so I think even like in the modeling industry is like really crazy to see. I've been modeling really on and off since high school, and there's just this huge, you know, surge of like inclusivity and diversity and all of these like pushes for like campaigns of those types of things. But even within that kind of niche and that change, there's still a lot of like limitations on who's included in those conversations and those, you know, opportunities too. So yeah,
I mean, how Virgil went from, you know, an architect
like
to building
DJ
relationships
to like,
exactly,
yeah,
to getting appointed as creative director at LVMH. That was when I was like, okay, like it's not impossible
No,
to get
nothing
to
is
that
impossible.
point.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. You take a lot of initiatives to either start projects, to get involved in projects. Tell me how that has been like for you, and why you're always, or why, because you're involved in a lot of projects.
Yeah.
So are you consciously just trying to get involved as much as possible?
I think at this point, it's kind of like snowball effect or domino effect, where a lot of people proactively like come to me to work on projects, which I'm so grateful for, that people even like ever think of me. But at the beginning, I think Essence played a huge role in my ability, you know, to like network and work with people and showcase like what I'm capable of doing, whether it's like content creation or marketing strategy, or just like, you know, creatively ideating, or photography sometimes, like whatever it is. Essence was really an opportunity to like build up that like portfolio and like platform and network. And at this point, I think I've been able to work with so many different creatives and designers and friends, really, that I'm in a very like privileged position where a lot of people will think of me when they have projects or new initiatives, and I'm able to kind of support with like what they're doing and contribute to that project, it was so fun. And I really, really like being busy. I'm like happiest when I have a lot on my plate and I'm able to express myself through different projects. And so that really allows me to, you know, do a lot at once, because it obviously everyone gets burnout, but I think, yeah, I'm in a position where like it really excites me and energizes me to like work on things like that.
Have you always been like that, as far as you can remember?
Yeah, I think I was always extremely introverted. Like even in middle school, I was always like in, you know, every play and club and, you know, as many sports as possible. And yeah, I have a wonderful mother who's very supportive of me and worked extremely hard to, you know, allow me to have like everything I ever wanted. If I wanted to be in dance classes, she would get another job, you know, those types of things. So that really taught me that like hard work pays off. And if you want something, you have to really be consistent and, you know, set your mind to it, but then you can always accomplish it.
Gotcha. And your mother has played like a huge role in terms of like motivating you type of situation?
Yeah, it was just me and her for a really long time.
Wow.
And she's happily with my stepdad now. And so I think until I was like 13 or 14, it was really just me and her growing up, and my grandparents as well. So yeah, it was just so amazing to see her. I mean, at the time I didn't understand as fully, but you know, retrospectively looking back now, like she was always working so hard just for me to provide anything I ever wanted. Like, and it, like, I always had like what I wanted as a kid, not even material things, but just like opportunities for travel. And again, like dance classes, a bike, you know, sports equipment, like those types of things, which when you're a kid, you don't understand like how expensive that is.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm just like forever grateful for like her working so hard and putting me as a priority. So yeah, a little shout out to my mom.
Yeah, that's
Love
what's
you.
up. Yeah, hell yeah. Let's talk about one of your two loves, and your creative project that you started with that love is cars and fashion. And then you started Sneak Cars as your Instagram. It's like a self-expression type of project.
I'm so happy you brought up cars. I wasn't sure if we have time to talk about it. Yeah, so kind of in the same thread, when I grew up, I would spend a lot of time with my grandpa, and he was a truck driver forever, transport truck driver between Toronto and sometimes New York and Quebec City. So I would spend hours and hours in his truck just looking at cars, like back and forth, and we would always try to like pick out what cars were what. And I remember I'd want to impress him so bad, so I'd try to learn them. And so somewhere along those lines, like from when I was literally a baby until high school, I started like comparing like cars to like what they looked like other things. And it was always just such a fun game. Like I have really good fond memories of that. And then one day I was looking on this page called Japanese Classics. It's like an import company based out of Virginia. And I was at the time received PR from Axel Arigato, marathon runners. And for some reason, I just saw one of the cars there, and I was like, these, like the colorway is the exact same. And I was like, this is so cool. And then I kind of just fell into a rabbit hole of just like trying to draw comparisons between sneaker and car designs. And there are so many, and it's kind of crazy. Even the process of like designing a car and a sneaker front to back are really similar, but so different. And yeah, it's definitely a passion project. I feel like really nerdy about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool though. How is the process so similar and different at the same time.
Yeah, I think like aesthetically, cars and shoes are something that can be modified in so many different ways, but then also like the practicality of a sneaker versus a shoe, right? Like needs like shoe wants to be aerodynamic, right? Especially if it's like a running shoe, for instance, and so do cars. And but there's also so many things you can add to both of them aesthetically to make them appeasing, and also like I think what's interesting is like colorways specific as well. Like as a designer, whether you design shoes or cars, I think humans innately like are attracted to specific colors pulled together and making things look just like as appealing to the eye as possible. And so I very quickly learned that there's just like so much overlap in that between these two completely like separated things. A really good example, one of my favorites, is the Toyota Hilux, which is a truck, and the original design of those had this like star motif on the side and a bunch of different colorways, and they're exactly the same as Babes does. Like the colors that they selected, the placement of it, and everything like identical. Like it looks like it was made by the same person at the same time, but they're like separated by like probably like a decade and unrelated completely. So
I mean, I like the thing that kind of mesmerizes me is like how the fuck do you kind of realize that? And that's not me like putting you on a pedestal, but like, is there anybody else who has sort of recognized a similarity between sneakers and cars?
Yeah, there's, I think, I don't want to butcher this, I think he's the creative director of Nike, or he's a designer for Nike. Okay. And he's been doing this before me, superseded me. There's also a really, I think she's a creative director of Tiffany & Co. It's like Ruba, and she does something really similar, but she just compares separate images. She's so talented, really, really inspiring. Wow. And there's just something about like the beauty of like, she'll find like symmetry and like colors and shapes and like completely separate images. There's a lot of like watches she uses, but also some cars. And yeah, so there's definitely people. I didn't invent this by any means. I think it really excites me, and it's kind of like a game. It's like almost like a form of meditation, just to like sit there and search through like archives of shoes and cars until I find like the perfect match. And yeah, I just really enjoy doing it. I don't know.
No, that's cool. As we know that you have worked on countless projects, what is the project that you learned the most about yourself?
Really good question. I think I'm gonna say first thing that comes to mind was probably I got invited to the Heaven by Marc Jacobs event with ID Magazine in New York. Super insane. They were launching one of their previous collections, and I remember just like having a moment where like I got the email, and I love the ID team. They're super wonderful. I've made some TikToks for them as well. And I was like really scared. I don't know why. It was just the idea of like going by myself. It was a really big event. Also going to New York. I think it was one of the, I'm not gonna say first times, but I was like kind of doubting, my validity in the space and like what I was gonna be able to offer them, whether it was content or just like, like being there. I feel like you have a bit of imposter syndrome sometimes. And I remember being there, and I offered to take photos for them. I had this like old film camera that my stepfather gave me, and I just brought it, and I brought some film, and Blade, Echo 2K were performing. It was an amazing event, and I just remember I was alone. I showed up by myself, and I knew of a lot of people at this time, especially through TikTok, but it was the first time I was meeting a lot of people. And I feel like I just had a moment where I was just like, I like enjoy being in these spaces, and I feel like I belong like in these places. And I just like really learned about myself that was just like, even like everyone gets anxious, everyone has imposter syndrome. I feel like everyone in those spaces is kind of like, what am I doing here? Like, this is so crazy. And I just had a moment really where I was just like, this is what I want to do. This is what makes me happy. And like leaving the event, I've just felt like so excited about like what was next. And yeah, so I just really, kind of long-winded answer, but I think I really just like learned myself that like I'm like working really hard and like doing what I love and like for the right reasons. Like I feel like it was just a really good opportunity to learn that like this is like what I want to do long term, I guess. It was just super random, but that event was just like something. I also don't take photos a lot. Like I'm not a photographer, but I was able to like take photos for the team, and like Alistair loved them, and so yeah, it was just kind of the idea of like forging your own path a little bit and just like pursuing what you like, and yeah, just kind of like fake it till you make it. Also, like I was grateful to be there, but also felt like what the hell am I doing here? And yeah, it turned out really well, and I made a lot of good friends from that event. So
no, that's sick.
Yeah.
How did you end up landing that opportunity again?
So Daniel is one of the creative members on the ID team for social media, and I had made a few TikToks specific about Margiela, and they had just hit me shortly after. They're really happy with the content and was just like, hey, are you gonna be in New York? And I don't think I was going to be in New York, to be honest, but I was like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, we're doing this event. Like, we would love for you to come. And then my response to that was like, well, I would love to, like, make content, like, covering the event. Like, I don't want to just go. Like, I want to partake in it. And I was like, I can take photos, videos, make TikToks, whatever. And I did all of the above and sent to the team. And they really liked it. And it was nice to meet them because they're all in London. So, yeah, it was a really cool opportunity.
Fuck yeah. No, that's cool because the way I kind of see it where... I mean, it's a lot easier, I guess, for lack of better terms, to just go there.
Yeah, of course.
But like to partake in this, ID, it's like one of the biggest magazine culture type of space.
Yeah.
So that's really cool that you had courage to be like, you know what, I'm in this shit. I'm gonna do more than just be there.
Yeah, I think I've just like, I don't know what it is, but I always just want to like do like a little bit more. Maybe that's a little cliche, but like I feel like if I went to the event just to like hang out and drink and like chill, I would have been like 10 times more anxious and walked out of it feeling very differently than like, I knew I had something to offer, and I knew it was opportunity also to grow and like network and meet people and grow my platform. And so it's really mutually beneficial, and I'm really happy that I did it. So.
I mean, you say you snooze, you lose.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Right? And that kind of comes down to seizing opportunity.
Yeah.
So have you said yes to like all the opportunities you've kind of gotten?
No, I'm actually really bad at, one, I've been struggling with whether or not I should get an agent through like social media, because I love having autonomy over my creativity, but I also like bandwidth is a very real thing. And I mean, I have a full-time job. I've always had a full-time job, more than one pretty much. So I think that I almost like don't capitalize on a lot of the opportunities, whether it's just like through PR or like activations and events. Also traveling, I travel a lot, especially this year, and that really limits me on like where I'm available, like in Montreal if I'm in LA and vice versa, which is like not something to complain about. I'm super grateful, but yeah, I definitely do not seize every opportunity that comes away. And also it's like quality over quantity of work. I do a lot of work, but I really try to take on jobs and projects with like my friends and people that like I believe in and I'm passionate about. And I don't really believe in maybe working with people or working with someone just for the sake of like capitalizing off what they're doing. But also I say that while understanding that like money is a real thing and people need to, I'm so much about chase your bag, like make your bread.
Fuck yeah.
Like it's so funny if I see like my friends doing like ad work or like content, I'm always like, I'm buying this immediately, like let's go, just because it's important to support them. But I think it's important to find a balance and be true to yourself and what you believe in and try to work within that realm as much as possible.
People are kind of listening to this and they're like, oh, how does she get to go to LA and goes to this and that, and then she's heavily involved in so many different creative projects that I guess some people would dream of. To that, it would kind of, some of the credit or one of the bigger factors is you getting your job, because what I kind of know is you had this retail job at Frank and Oak.
Yeah.
Where you worked like,
shout out Frank and Oak.
Yeah, shout out. Where you worked there for like 4 something years, and then pandemic hit. You got a customer service job at Essence.
Yeah.
And then you started making TikToks. And from that, you ended up getting heavily involved in the marketing side of Essence. And from there came all the opportunities because you kept, I guess, kind of saying yes.
Yeah.
Would that be because obviously I'm just summing it up.
Yeah.
I'm summing your creative journey
That's
up.
like 6 years and like a minute. Yeah, but I think that rings true. It was just like, I think something that I say and something that's really important is that you never know who's watching what you're doing. And we talked a little bit before we turned on the camera about like, you know, the idea of being cringy. And I think it's like, if you eradicate the idea of like, people are going to judge you for what you do no matter what you do. You could be the most mundane person, 9 to 5 office job, nothing wrong with that. People are still going to judge you. You could live the most, you know, erratic lifestyle, like a crazy artist, like whatever, and people are still going to have an opinion. So it's like, as long as you're pursuing what you're passionate about and, you know, understanding that no isn't the worst thing in the world, like not trying or not pursuing what you love is the worst thing in the world, then I think opportunities will like find you. And a little bit earlier I mentioned like pursuing your passions. That's something that like no one else can replicate. It's like if you work from a place of passion, then like that shines through in your work. And it's like maybe you're not the only person creating that type of art or that type of music, but if you're doing it from a place of passion, people are going to support you, you know, no matter what. So yeah, that's a little bit of how I feel about that.
I mean, I don't really want to give advice
for sure
over here, but like the problem that I think that people are having, and it's just something we can like kind of sort of talk about, really, is people cannot find their passion.
Yeah.
And honestly speaking, I think like that's what all of the world at this point. And I honestly think like, you know, being a first gen and person of color, it's actually like a hard thing to even grasp upon, where like you can actually do something that you're passionate about and make money, because the rest of the world, you basically work so you can live.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
How is it that someone tries to find their passion?
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to really understand that like not everyone can monetize their passion, but I think that what's important is like maybe finding like a balance between, you know, if you're in a job that you're really unhappy about, you know, it's like paying the bills, whatever, but like, you know, day in day out you have no energy to do anything else and you're really not happy, like that is going to manifest itself in like every aspect of your life, like your health, your ability to build relationships, you know. And it's not easy to like leave a position like that, and not everyone can leave a position like that, but I think it's also just not accepting things only at face value and just being like, well, this is my life, you know, because it's like you have to take autonomy over your life. And it's like in 6 years from now, you know, are you gonna be like, oh well, you know, at least I stayed in this job and, you know, paid my bills and like that's it? Or are you gonna be like, wow, I wish I, you know, used that time to maybe try to like, I don't know, find something else that it's a little bit more exciting for me, or, you know, like try to like also pursue something on the side that like is more exciting, or like, you know, gives me energy, or, you know, makes me a bit happier. Like I don't think anyone and everyone can necessarily work in their field of passion or monetize on it all the time, or be in a position where they know how to do that. And also I think financial literacy like plays a huge role in that too, like understanding, you know, even like I wish in like first year someone like taught me about credit cards or like investing, you know, someone was around, like being in a position to understand that too. Like I feel like I would be in a very different place if I knew back then what I know now about like the money I was making even from Frank and Oak and what to do with it. But I was just kind of like buying stuff and paying my bills and happy and that. But like I think it's just like really just finding a balance. And I really believe in manifestation. I don't know where along the lines of all of this that I kind of really started believing in that. But I also believe it's really important just to like write out your goals, like just between you and yourself, and just write out and try to understand, you know, if money wasn't an issue, if, you know, time wasn't an issue, what would you be doing? You know, what makes you happiest? And like that could just be hanging out with your friends also, and that could just be biking around, like that could be anything. It doesn't have to be a career, but it's just like understanding, you know, outside of what makes money, like what would you be doing with your time, and then maybe trying to understand how it could be monetized or how you can incorporate that in your life. And like social media is a huge role in that. Like there's a niche, there's a community for everyone on social media. If you like to ride bikes, you're, you know, like you like fixies and like that's your thing, I don't know, save up, get a GoPro, and just start making videos about it. And like if you know that's something that you're interested in doing, and it's like so crazy how much like TikTok and social media can change your life. And like that's definitely not for everyone. Not everyone is inclined to like video editing or even wants to be like on the internet like that. But I think if it's something that you're even slightly interested in, it can change your life.
Yeah, you also brought up a great point where you were like, it's not for everyone.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Because tell you what, like I've spoken with a couple of my friends, and I told them, I was like, hey, just exactly what you said. Think about you not having to worry about bills and money. What the fuck would you do?
Yeah.
And just write it down. And then they don't even take the step to write it down or think about it, right? So, I mean, like, talk about podcasting. It's fucking tough.
Yeah.
Talk about content creation. It's tough.
Yeah.
Right? So, I guess you also have to accept the fact that you're going to be busy all the time, and then this and that. You consistently, it's not like you come back from work and then, you can just lax on the TV type of thing. You're like on the go. You're thinking about content creation and how I can talk to this person and blah, blah, blah type of thing. Yeah.
But I feel like also like for me personally, like creating content is something that like inherently I think of as like comes very naturally to me, so it doesn't feel like work as much. Like if I'm out with my friends or at an event or doing something, it's kind of the first thing that comes to mind. And so for me, like I was able to like kind of make more of a career out of that, which like I understand is not the case. Like some people absolutely hate it and don't even want to be in front of the camera or hear their own voice, and so obviously that's going to limit it. But then it's just like understanding, like, again, if you have all the time in the world, like what do you want to be doing? Like what do you enjoy, and then how you can incorporate that in your life. And it doesn't even have to be in a way to like monetize it per se, but just I think having the opportunity to work or like be within that realm like will set you up for success, and opportunities will come.
Do you like seeing yourself on camera or hearing your voice?
I used to not like it, but I kind of just got over it.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah. No, I get that. Let's talk about something you were in the news for in Ottawa. Yeah. You ended up being a part of skateboard community, and then you put a creative twist like you do with everything.
Yeah, so this is a little bit deep cut. When I lived in Ottawa for university, me and a good friend of mine, Suhaila, put together a Black Lives Matter protest. And this was during the pandemic, so there was a lot of lockdowns. This was right after George Floyd was murdered. And so there was really just like a really big need in Ottawa and within the Black community there for just like some like sense of community. Like I felt like we're all segregated. There was like these lockdowns on and off. There was like all of these rules. And so I was skateboarding a lot at the time. This was like pretty much every day I was just spending time at the skate park because it was just a way to kind of like socialize without socializing. And I don't remember exactly how the conversation came about, but at some point Suhaila and I was like, we want to do something for BLM in Ottawa. And the idea just like started, and we got the skate community involved. So there's a bunch of different groups. I was like, Girls Skate was one of them. Postering Ottawa was a group, and they were all just skateboarders. And it was just this idea of doing a little convoy with these different communities and friends to honor George Floyd and, bring awareness to what was going on in the world and what has been going on in the world. And I'm a little bit like, I'm the person in the group project who like wants to do it all myself. So I just started like researching protests and getting like, I had to like talk with like the RCMP about like closing down a road and like estimate how many people would show up. And we got posters made, and Postering Ottawa like posted the entire city for us for free. And then at some point in the planning, like news outlets just started reaching out to me, and I was like, oh damn, this is kind of crazy. And so it started with like the skate community, and it just expanded so quickly, and it was so beautiful to see how many people wanted to support all of the people of color in Ottawa, and also how many people were really feeling you know, the same feelings I was of just like such despair and just being so tired of like all of these heinous acts against Black people back to back at the time. And so it came like the day of the protest, and we started at Charlie Bowen's skate park, which is a memorial park for a skateboarder who passed away. And I had no idea like what it was going to be like. And just like hundreds of people showed up, like on motorcycles, on bicycles, on skateboards, on foot, and like a bunch of news outlets were there. And so I just like ended up giving interviews like that whole morning. And then we skated, we did a convoy to Parliament, and then we had a few people lined up to give speeches just to talk about what was going on, and then we had a moment of silence. Super surreal. But yeah, really, really grateful that I was able to be a part of something like that, and it was definitely a community effort. And yeah, I would love to do something like that again too, honestly.
What did that do for you as a creative?
I didn't even think of it in that way at the time. This was before I ever had a TikTok or even really used Instagram as an influence or anything. I think it was really just to like bring community together. And I guess in a way it was networking, but like for very different reasons than like social media networking. But I think it was just a really good opportunity for me to like understand that like if you work hard towards something and you work with like people, like with a community, that you can really make anything happen. Like at the time that first idea that we had at the skate park, did I know it would turn into like such a huge event? Absolutely not. But you know, anything is possible when you have people that are working through, again, their passions. And yeah, it was an amazing opportunity as well, just to like learn. I'm really proud of myself and my friends for facilitating that. We're pretty young and we didn't know anything. Like you don't know anything about putting together a protest, let alone, you know, like a convoy of that many people and like shutting down streets. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that you and Suhaila had became like you guys executed it, and I mean that's very respectful. Yeah. I actually forgot to ask you this question, but what is a car that, you know, has a special place for you?
Really, really good question. I have so many answers. I think I really want to own, this is not gonna be the answer people want to hear. It's not a really cool car, but I really want to own like like a TRD, like Toyota Tacoma truck.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a car that I've like thought about getting, or truck, I guess. I've thought about getting for a long time, and I see myself having it, and at some point in my life when I'm older, just like taking road trips around in it, and it just has a special place in my heart for pretty personal reasons. But yeah, I feel like that truck. But for the cool answer, I really want to import an Nissan S13. That's two-tone, seafoam green.
Seafoam green, okay.
Yeah, that would be sick. So yeah, but there's so many. I have like lists.
Yeah, in
like
your notes app.
Yeah, like Euro versus like JDM versus. There's so many cool cars in the world. I wish I could have them all, but hopefully just one or two will be good.
or maybe, I mean, the way you're working, you might be able to have it all. You know,
yeah, definitely not in Montreal. Montreal is not the place to own nice cars. The roads here, brutal. Yeah.
Let's talk about your newest project, your brand.
Let's go. Yeah, I'm wearing my brand.
Yeah.
Show it in the camera for those who can see.
Yeah, exactly. So J1.
Yeah.
And it's with your friend.
My friend well? J1. Yeah.
J1. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. J1 Kyung. We've been friends for a long time. We bonded over cars. He's super into cars as well. Internet friends. Like, again, before I did everything, probably like 5 years now. And he lives in LA, and happened super organically. I was out in LA working this year, and he is super talented with design, especially menswear. He's just like super innately, like also just in production. He works in production and like clothing production. And yeah, I'm really inclined for like marketing and social media and creative things like that within fashion. And I think he was really looking for someone who's able to do that. I would say he's like the male version of me. Our birthdays are super similar, our interests really similar, and so it's so rewarding to work with someone on a project like that like I feel like we're always really aligned in the creative process, and he is so talented at the production and the nitty gritty of it, the hard stuff. And the first thing we ever made together were our pants, which we dropped in June 1st. And I was in LA earlier this year for around a month, maybe a few weeks. And so we made the samples of them, and it was the most fun I've had in a very long time. It was just the idea of like picking out the fabrics, picking out, you know, all the hardware, the zippers, going to the dye house, you know, cutting it, trying them on for the first time, like hand dyeing them. And it was the first time I really realized like, oh, this is really possible. I've been told several times before, like, oh, you should make clothes, you should start a brand. I think it's a step a lot of people take in fashion, social media. And I always pushed back a bit, and I was like, there's too many brands like in the world. There's like, everyone makes a brand. And it was just at that moment, it happened really organically. He had already been working on so many designs, but like didn't have an Instagram for it yet or a website. And so I feel like I was able to bridge that gap, and together we work really dynamically, and I'm excited for everything that's coming out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what do you mean by I have an eye for social media content creation?
Like, I think it just comes really naturally to me. Like, it doesn't feel like work. I think I'm able to identify like opportunities to capture content, and I get really excited about like mood boards and, you know, working with other creatives, and just like thinking of concepts for photo shoots and opportunities for like little videos. Like, even before I was doing content creation for Essence, I would always just edit together these little things for fun, and they were always just really well received on social media. And so I'm really grateful that, one, people like the stuff that I make, and two, that like it excites me, so I'm able to create a lot of content.
Do you think it kind of comes with you, like you have been looking at different brands, social media, and you know, different content creators and that kind of thing, and then eventually you kind of got an eye for it?
All really started with Margiela for me.
Yeah.
Martin Margiela. We get huge long backstory, but I'll make a long story short. I got really into like archive Margiela and the idea of Martin like going to Japan, visiting Japan for the first time, and finding something that has been around forever, the jikatabi, and bringing it back to, you know, Europe, and working with that design and modernizing it and making it into something that was like really not well received. Like, everyone was like, this is atrocious, you know, back in 1989. And like, and he just like saw a vision and stuck to it and created it. And like now, I mean, obviously it's like revolutionary. Like, Nike has done tabbies, like, you know, Vemma has done tabby shoes. You had, you know, all of these different brands have replicated it since, but he really just like saw something that inspired him somewhere and was able to kind of found a brand and create something, or bring something. He didn't create it, it had been around, but be able to, you know, put his creative spin on it. And like, that was super inspiring to me when I remember learning about it and reading about it. I was just like, this is so cool.
Can you think of a creative spin that you are trying to bring in the industry?
I think just like finding an intersection between things that excite me, like cars and fashion. Okay. I think bridging that gap is cool, like something we want to do a lot with the brand. And, you know, Jay and I are both really into cars, so it'll be cool, you know, to bring that spin to design and to fashion. And, you know, same thing with like content creation, like being able to talk about, you know, the car scene, but at the same time, like the history of, I don't know, sneaker designs or something, like, which is like also not the most revolutionary thing. I don't think no one else is doing that, but I think, again, it's like what makes me passionate. So it's what I'm gonna kind of keep talking about.
Yeah. Must be Margiela.
Must be. Yeah.
So how did you come about this username?
My old username was so funny. If you know, you know. I'm not even gonna say it, but I needed to change it at some point because I think I was signing to a new agency, and I literally just, there's no backstory. I just thought of it. Like, I was just like, I was really into Margiela at the time. It was my favorite brand, still one of my favorite brands. And it just like kind of rolled off the tongue. It was like not taken. So, yeah.
What is one of the brands right now that their content creation is like top notch?
Oh, No Face Studios. Ooh, you guys are killing it. Yeah, I met them for the first time in Paris. I was in Paris last month, end of June. They're just so on it, man. They're so cool. And Healy, Emil, always. Julius and Victor, love them. They're just mind of their own, such strong brand identity. Honestly, it's like so unique and so refreshing every time they do anything, both of those brands. Yeah.
I think you'll be a great consultant.
Maybe, yeah. I think that's kind of what I do, just for like marketing and anything, and I love it.
Yeah, must be Margiela, like creative agency type of thing.
Maybe one day, the Must Be agency.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Love that.
Sick.
Write that down.
Write that
copyright,
down. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Talk about, what does it mean to be a creative? Like, how does it drive you?
How does it drive me being creative? I don't know. I think it's just such a general term. Like, everyone is creative to a degree. Like, I think everyone innately has a form of creativity to them. It's just a matter of like, it's like the outlet in which you express it. And it's like, maybe you're not sharing it with the world. You're just creative internally, and then that's your outlet. You know, if you're drawing or writing or, you know, anything, like making playlists, like curating a playlist for yourself, or like anything. I think everyone, like humans innately, are creative individuals. And like for me personally, I've been able to like share my creativity, and that's been amazing for opportunities for work for me. But I think it's really important just to express yourself creatively for you, like not for anyone else, just for your mental health, and just for, you know, like having a creative outlet is just really, really like therapeutic. And I don't think everyone inherently is creative, maybe, but I think creativity is like endless in terms of its forms,
and quite subjective too.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, what does it mean to, because you said express creatively, right, or express creativity, what does that mean? I
feel like just creating something, like for you, and that can literally be anything, just like making something, and like something that is created through emotions or experience. And I think, like, you know, again, that can be like people making a playlist, that can be drawing, that can be, I don't know, like building something in like Sims or Minecraft, like because it's fun, or like, I don't know, like literally building up a bike, or like collecting stickers and putting it on something. Like,
shout out Sims.
Yeah. Honestly, Sims 3 pets, right?
Yeah,
that's one.
Sims 3, all the packs.
Yeah.
That was the shit.
The motherload, like, cheat code. Anyways.
Oh shit. Yeah, and so another thing I kind of want to touch on is you love organizing photos, you said.
Yeah. Hey? I actually I have OCD.
Okay.
And so something that I've always struggled with and worked on is like, it's organizational. So like finding a balance between like healthily, like having that outlet of like organization and curation, which like, again, why it comes really naturally to me, but then also like setting boundaries and limits to not like let that over consume like my time and like everything that I'm doing. When I'm stressed out, I like don't sleep. That's one thing about me. I cannot sleep for the life of me. And so I found to like decompress if I'm ever like stressed or overworked or overwhelmed or anxious, like photo curation and like organization, like whether it's like color schemes or music is a huge one for me, like playlists is something that like always makes me feel really good. And so that's kind of like a little bit of an outlet for me. Yeah.
What is the importance of that habit, I guess, in your creative process?
I think just like organization, or
sure, organization, and it kind of comes down to organizing photos as well.
I think I used to care a lot more like through social media on like what my feed was like and what I was sharing, but then I quickly kind of learned that like people love like more relatable and digestible content rather than like a really rigid kind of like, I'm not like a mood board like account like my personal Instagram. And so I used to care a lot more about the curation, like even down to like what I was doing and like what I was capturing to make sure it would feed into like whatever sort of like aesthetic I was trying to portray. But now I think the like curation of like photos and stuff is more just about like what I think is cool, not what I think like what other people are gonna like. And it's kind of been cool because inherently like everyone or at least like through the engagement of it, like people enjoy and consume it in a better way than just like putting out like photos that I think other people would like.
Yeah, you have a great eye and knowledge in terms of social media, and obviously it's going to evolve with time too. What do you kind of think about Threads? Because it's so fucking new. Are you even on it?
I'm on it for basic space. I made my own one, but went on private. I think whoever jumped on the like meme bandwagon of like the social media managers waking up and finding out there's another platform to run, that was my experience.
I feel that, dude. I fucking feel that.
There's so many. I'm like, please, I'm still trying to like keep up with like Twitter. Like, I love Twitter, but like there's so many. I think it's cool though. I think, you know, there's social media is like endless and expensive, and it'll work really well for people like everything else. So I'm curious to see where it goes. I mean, the app downloads was crazy. It's like 30 million in like 24 hours or something.
It reached 100 million users. That's fucking insane, dude.
They were really smart about it, like the integration on Instagram to like hop right on it from your account. Like you didn't have to do anything. Genius.
And it almost, it's so interesting because what I feel like is with Threads, where your friends are like, you're not on Threads? Like, what? Get on it, bro.
Oh,
and
please.
they kind of, I don't know. They almost, it became so trendy to download it.
I know, it's been like 2 weeks, I think.
I know.
Or like a week, maybe. Definitely a week. Oh, my God.
Dude,
I
think I got a notification like a week or some days ago where like Threads is available to download. And then I downloaded it instantly, and then I was like, fuck. Yeah, like I feel that because I'm still trying to learn like how to make threads from podcast episodes. And now there's like on Twitter, and now there's Instagram threads too, and then you got to post on TikTok, YouTube Shorts. But it is YouTube, I mean, that's the life we kind of choose, you know.
Yeah. I think also just don't get burnt out. Like the thing is too, it's like if it all disappeared tomorrow, if Instagram's like, hey, deleting threads, like where would you be? That's really important too. It's like, that's why I'm like, you have to do what you love when you can, because it's like none of this social media stuff, it's real, it's very valid, it's a proper career, but also it lives only within social media.
Yeah, I mean, let's kind of like, you know, with YouTube removing certain creators type of thing, or Instagram deplatforming creators, like, bro, at the end of the day, like, we're just on their rented space type of thing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think it's like also understanding like what you're contributing like outside of all of that is so important. Like supporting your friends like properly, not just like, you know, a like and a comment goes a long way for a lot of creators. Like that's something that they really value. Like a friend of mine has a brand, and we had a conversation when he was launching that like so many people for so long when he was doing the production were like, yo, like I want this is so sick. And then he started posting the campaign photos, and just like no one was sharing it or liking it, and they were great, and he put in so much work for so long, and it was so discouraging to see, because it was just like, you know, like it's like, where is like the value in like supporting your friends, and like also what is the responsibility that one has like to like properly support someone? It's like not everyone has the money to buy like $200 jeans. Like I understand that. I would never expect any of my friends to do that, but it's like, okay, then as a friend, like what can you do to support, you know? And so social media plays a big role in that, but it also like it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like those things are as important and like have as much validity as like you make them. Like if it's your whole life and you put all of the value in who you are as a person on how many likes you're getting and how many shares you're getting and views and all that, then that's fine, that's you. But also it's like some people just don't have Instagram, and then when you explain what you do or like who you are to that person who's like, yeah, I've never seen your TikToks, I don't know who you are, you know, then it's like, how are you explaining your passions and what you like, and like who are you outside of that? So yeah,
like me talking to my uncle in Pakistan, like, oh, I have a podcast. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Why? I fucking love it.
Yeah. I love meeting people who like are like very anti-TikTok or whatever, and I go, oh yeah, like this is what I do, and they're just like, oh, like they don't understand it. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. Like I respect that, to be honest.
No, I mean for sure. Last but not least, I want to touch on 75 Hard.
Let's go. Yeah, day 16.
Day 16.
Day 16
today.
Fuck
yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
So, do you watch Andy Frisella, or have you listened to Andy Frisella?
No, I do now, but I didn't before.
Dude, what do you think about him?
I think Motivational will be the word I would say, maybe.
I honestly love Andy Frisella. Yeah. I mean, I'm a lazy person at heart, and I just need that kick.
Yeah.
Like, more often than not.
Yeah.
That's how I find it.
I like do a lot and I work hard and I love being busy and I love socializing, but I also love like a sweet little treat snack in my bed and doing nothing for 24 hours, like just like anyone else. I think the 75 hard challenge for me, I don't know if everyone's familiar with it. I've been talking to a few people and some of them know of it, some of them don't, but it's basically a challenge. I mean, you've done it, so
yeah,
I'm in it, but you've done it.
So essentially, it is from mental toughness, rather than like weight loss type of thing.
Yeah.
It basically, so there's certain habits that you have to do, which is you have to read 10 pages of nonfiction book,
1 gallon of water, like 4 liters of water a day.
Yeah, gallon of water, 4 liters. 3.75 to be exact, because I used to drink like 250 right before sleeping, 500 at like 8 p.m. type of thing, and then one workout has to be outside. Both workouts need to be at least 45 minutes.
Yep.
What else am I missing? Oh, you have to take a daily progress picture as well.
I haven't been doing that kind of. I mean, I inherently take photos every day, but.
And what else? I think water, workout. Yeah. Oh, you can't drink alcohol.
Yeah, so there's like a hard cutoff between like you. So basically, I think part of it is like following a diet of some form.
Yeah,
it's like trying to be healthy, and then another one that I did was just like meditating. I don't think that's like formally a part of it, but it was like setting 10 minutes. I mean, it's kind of like when I'm reading, but like setting 10 minutes either at the beginning or the end of the day, just to kind of like chill, decompress a bit.
What book are you reading right now?
I am reading How Can I Forgive You? It's a study on grief and like cheap forgiveness versus real forgiveness versus acceptance when you've been like betrayed or wronged, or just in a situation where you have to like look internally on like how you build relationships. Amazing book. Yeah. And then I'm starting a book club with a few of my really good friends after this.
Can I join?
Yeah, absolutely. All of Montreal is welcome. See you there. And we're going to read All About Love by Bell Hooks, which was written in 1999, but has been really popular recently. And so I'm reading that book, and then I'm also rereading Braiding Sweetgrass. I don't know if you know that book. Oh, so good. I've read it like 7 times, I think.
7 times?
I don't know what about it. It's just written so well. But yeah.
Sick.
It's sick, yeah.
Are you, like, right now, do you still find where it's like, oh, like I started this new challenge and I'm super motivated and I have this momentum kind of going? Because it goes like, so you have this high, and then it goes whoosh.
I don't know if I'm at the whoosh part yet.
Yeah, around like day 45, day 35, I'd say, like that's when it's.
You're like, okay. Like,
and then when there's like 10 days left, then that momentum kind of picks up again. I was traveling so much the past few months. I was like so nomadic, like all around, back and forth. And so I had no routine, like not a single routine, like in anything I was doing, like what I was eating, how I was working out, where I was going, sleeping, reading, like none of it. And so I got back to my apartment at the first day of July or like end of June. And I was just like so exhausted. I had like no time to myself for like a month prior, and no like healthy, consistent habits that I was like excited about. And I love like working out, and I like reading and like all the things that pertain to the challenge. So I saw someone who had completed it, who was on day 75 on TikTok, and she was just talking about her experience, and I was just like, I could do that. It's the first day of the month. I was like, why not? And so I just wrote it all out. And and just went from there. And I'm only 16 days in, and maybe called placebo effect, but I don't think my mental health has been like any better like since the beginning of the year. Like this is the best I've felt. Already feel like changes in my energy and like energy levels, my skin, like all the things that come along with it. And it's been really nice. It's also a really good opportunity to like hang out with my friends and like play basketball and go for runs, spend time outside, like work out with people, which I'm learning that I really enjoy. Yeah. It's hard to work out with people sometimes, but it's been fun to like hang out with some of my different friends and just play sports together, which is something I didn't do previously. I'm seriously thinking about starting 75 hard.
Do it.
Again, my routine is fucked. Yeah, I think Other than that, one last question I have. I saw you posted, not a question, but I saw you posted on your, I think it was in 2013.
Oh my goodness.
You Let It Go lyrics. Do you remember that?
From what? On Facebook?
Yeah.
Wait, Let It Go by Passenger?
Yeah. You posted that.
I need to delete my Facebook. There's no way. I've had the same Facebook since I was like 10, which is
No, I know.
probably-
I see that. Look.
That is so... I didn't even know that was up still.
Yeah, I know it.
Wow. That's so scary.
Yeah.
What?
It's cool though.
Digital footprint is so real, guys.
Dude.
Be careful.
For real.
You never know when you'll be on a podcast and 2013
And then you
will
got
come up.
fucking like
I was
Nardwar.
like, yeah, literally. Oh my gosh. I wonder
Yeah.
how he does it. I would love to know, Nardwar.
Dude, Nardwar, I've been fucking watching a lot of the stuff that he has been doing
So good.
because I get the most amount of dopamine when my friends and the people that come on, they're like, hey, like you completely take them to a place where they thought they were never gonna go. Like
Yeah.
you remind them of a memory, and that's like the coolest thing. They're like, how the fuck do you know that? I'm like, dude, like, you know, I don't know. But other than that, ashantéa
Must be
Margiela. If other
This was
creatives,
so fun.
yeah, you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
It's just
I'm
nice
glad.
to talk.
Yeah, thank you. So if other creatives want to get in touch with you, what are some of the easiest ways?
Carrier pigeon or... No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm joking. Yeah, I mean, send me a DM, I guess.
Yeah,
It's the world we live in.
exactly. She'll probably not answer you.
I'm sorry it took so long. Yeah. No, I think carrier pigeon is honestly the best way. Mail me something.
But yeah,
Maybe
no.
email, honestly. Maybe email. I check that sometimes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm super thankful because, like I said, I've been wanting to talk to you ever since I started the podcast.
Wow.
No, ever since I moved to Montreal. I don't know how I found your Instagram.
Wow.
But
that
I
means so
think-
much to me. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it is what you're doing, right? But at the end of the day, shout out to Maxwell Newbacker for
New
helping
Barker,
me.
the boy.
Yeah, get you on.
Yeah.